Yeah, I started off as a distributor so I can get the discount. So
Gotcha.
I could originally start, saving money on,
Yeah.
giving my dogs the supplements. But at the time, the first batch I bought, I'm like, there's no way my dog's gonna go through these supplements because they're gonna end up expiring. So I'm like,
Yeah.
let me put some online, see if I can sell them on eBay.
All right, we are back on with another episode of Beyond the Uniforms. Today we are here with Monty, and you're going to have to excuse me for a minute because I have really bad allergies, so it sounds like I'm probably stuffy. I'm going to mute out all the sniffles and everything. So,
That'll be two
um,
of us, so there'll be a lot of editing.
yeah, yeah. Hopefully not. Hopefully we'll make this work. But Monty, we really appreciate you, man. We connected through a mutual friend on Instagram, and he thought it'd be a great opportunity to have you on, talk a little bit about your service, what you're doing right now. You got a couple things going on. I'd love to talk a little bit about that, and have you just kind of say what you're doing with those and the products that you're selling. So, man, we appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, man. So let's go ahead and just get right into it. Talk a little bit about your service, man. What'd you do?
So currently, right now, I'm in the United States Marine Corps and been in for 19 years, going into next month. I originally enlisted doing supply and accounting. Was stationed out in California whenever I was doing that MOS, and then I came on to recruiting duty. So what's strange about how all of this connects, and we'll kind of be all over the place, but I promise you, at the end, it'll like all bleed in together. Is I had a mass sergeant. His name was Mass Sergeant Castaneda, and I was originally going to get out the Marine Corps after my first enlistment. And I remember seeing him, and he was unlike any mass sergeant that I could recall. Just a lot of swag, a lot of personality, very flamboyant with how he spoke. But man, it was just incredible. And I remember talking to him because he was looking at transitioning out to retire. I was like, "Where'd you learn to speak so well?" And he talked about he came on recruiting duty, and that's where he learned these skills. And I wanted to go into real estate. That's what I wanted to do before I joined the Marine Corps, is do real estate. But I needed some discipline in my life, so that's why I decided to do the Marines. Um, you know,
Yeah.
so I was like, you know what? I really want these skills that this Marine has, and if I got to do recruiting duty and I can get out to Houston, Texas, that's what I'm going to do. And he's like, you should, put a reenlistment package in for recruiting duty. And I told him I'd only do a reenlistment to recruiting if you can get me to Houston. And this is November-ish of 2009. And I was like, but it has to be for the school seat in January. So long story short, he got me a school seat in January. Um, Came out to Houston in 2010, bought my first property about 22 years old. And then I came across a mentor of mine that I keep in contact now with. His name's Master Sgt. Sanchez. And I just remember having a conversation with him about real estate, and he had like 39 properties at the time. And I was just like blown away. I was like, how can a Marine, have that many properties
Yeah.
with as many years as he's been in the Marine Corps? And, he schooled me up. And, fast forward to where we're at now, between 2010 to now, we've accumulated a total of 6 rental properties.
Mm.
Have established a business called Dupree Real Estate. Um, so we fill those homes with families. They're single family homes, and that's how I started with did the Dupree Real Estate. Um, any questions with the real estate aspect of it before I transition into like the second venture that I got into?
We probably just talk about like obviously you do real estate. Is it mostly just residential? Do you do business? Excuse me, do you do commercial? Is it lending?
Yeah, so all the real estate that I've been involved with is specifically single family homes. So I manage all the properties and been managing the property since 2010. So it's been a huge learning curve, especially being 22, 23 years old, renting
Yeah.
out to probably families. And, at the time, and even still to this time, a lot of them are much older than I am.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you, man. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so your other adventure, what's that all about? I mean, obviously I've taken a look at it, and you've got quite a bit going on there, which is pretty impressive. What's with that? What do you got there?
Um, so I'll go into the story how this came about.
Yeah.
So the company's called HDK LUX Products. I originally started off as HDK Supplements, which originally stood for Health Diet Canine, um, which really encompassed focusing on dog nutrition. And I'll tell you how I got into it because it kind of just fell in my lap. I had three dogs, a pit bull and two American bullies,
Mm.
and I was purchasing dog supplements specifically for my dogs from a company that I won't say the name because I'm no longer affiliated with them anymore. But I was at a fork in the road with if I wanted to stay in the Marine Corps or separate. When you start thinking about separating from the military, there's like this fear of the unknown anxiety that
Yeah.
takes place. And it's, man, I got to get my shit together or, I'm going to be separating with no plan. So I went on to the dog supplement company and I was like, you know what? What originally came to my mind was I'm going to try to see if I can get approved for wholesaling so I don't have to pay full price for my dogs. Um, and I typed up like a summary of my intent and what I was trying to do, and I got approved 3 days later. I'm like, wow. So I started my original investment at $450, and I got a huge wholesale
Oh.
package of dog supplements to give to my dogs. I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to go through this. By the time I get through this, some of these supplements are gonna be expired. So I started going on different platforms like eBay and Amazon, and I remember putting the first supplement online. And eBay has this little cha-ching sound that takes place. And I think I put it up at maybe like 8 o'clock at night. I went and laid down. It was like 10:30, and I heard a cha-ching, which at the time was like a very unfamiliar sound to me. I was like, what's that noise? So I
Yeah,
pulled up
yeah.
my phone. I'm like, holy smokes, I just made a sale. And it was from out of state. A light bulb turned on, and then, I woke up the next morning and I had three more sales.
Hmm.
And then next thing you know, 3 days later, I sold out. Another light bulb turned on. So then I made a secondary investment of $1,200, and within a week, sold out. And then my third investment was 4,200, sold out, and I just kept trying to diversify my portfolio with supplements on the website. So every single supplement that this company had that I was affiliated with when I started off with, I had everything. I had like a little miniature store of what they were selling, and then I got put on with a gentleman by the name of Stan, and he currently owns X Dog. But at the time, he had the company called Muscle Bully, Earth Vet, True Beast, and MVP supplements. And I told him my story just like I'm telling you in regards to how I got into doing supplements, and told him where I had scaled at with cells. They immediately brought me on, and this is now 2016. And for someone that came from having nothing, because I grew up in Section 8 housing, I was just like so mind blown that
Yeah.
things were unfolding the way they were. Um, so that's not where the HDK Lux Products is bread and butter comes from. It comes from our luxury dog collars.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll check those out. Those are pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's crazy how things just fall in your lap. So, the supplement thing starts taking place, and we started in 2015, and the ball's rolling, and we get into 2016, and I had a gentleman from Australia contact me through Instagram, and he saw my page because I was promoting it as a pet store. He's like, "Hey, I have these dog collars that maybe you'd be interested in selling over in the United States." And I saw them. I was like, "Man, those look pretty sick." So I ended up buying, initial investment of like $1,200, and he shipped them over, and same thing, put them online, and they sold. But at this time, I already had a website that I had launched. So now I'm on eBay, I'm on Amazon, I'm on. At the time, I was using GoDaddy because the founder of GoDaddy was a Marine, so that was my way of like
Hmm.
supporting, another brother with their business. So the chains come in, and they sell out fast, and I'm like, oh man, I need to buy another round. So my second investment with the dock cars was $4,500, and the second time around I was a little disappointed because it took about 4 to 6 months to get the dog
Wow.
collars, and I'm like, man, this is not sustainable. I cannot be waiting for these collars for this long. So I started doing some research on Google and found a manufacturer, and that's how we came up with HDK Lux dog chains. So health diet canine, and then the luxury side of it. And this came up as me and my wife were just driving, like, hey, if I can come up with a dog collar brand, what should it be called? So that was just us driving in the car, and that's how that came to life. But yeah, we found a manufacturer overseas. The collars are made out of marine grade stainless steel, so they're pretty durable. Um, we haven't had any issues with any of the dog chains breaking. You could literally put this on a two ends of a truck, and there's no way that thing's snapping.
Nice.
Uh, but yeah, so we ended up finding a overseas manufacturer, and we went live with it, and I finally got the chains in from the guy from Australia. We stopped doing business with them just because it was not sustainable, and we had our own private manufacturer, and that's been since 2016 to now.
Nice,
And that's
man.
kind of how all that has evolved since then.
That's crazy. You know how all that stuff just kind of plays out. Like you usually have like one kind of idea or a plan, and then things just kind of spider web out from there. And it's gone very, very well for you. I think I was taking a looking at your social page. You have like tens of thousands of followers on Instagram for the dog chains, and I'm guessing that comes from both the supplement side and um, the chain side.
Yeah, it's I think it's like 2 out of 3 households have pets, and
Yeah,
through research, the top 10 businesses that typically are um, bulletproof from going out of business. Pet stores typically rate number 3, just
no, I
because
didn't know
of
that.
the demand for people taking
Yeah,
care of their pets. And it's crazy that people take care of their pets better than their own kids.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. So I read this, not to go off topic here, but I read this thing the other it was actually last year, and it was by Dan Kennedy, the copywriter, and I don't know if the company's still in business, but he I don't know if he wrote the copy for it, but there was a company somewhere over in Europe that they would sell these dog houses made out of like ivory and all these other
Uh-huh.
crazy like expensive materials, and these dog houses go for like $250,000.
Oh, I believe it.
I'm like, people buy this stuff, you
Oh yeah.
know?
Oh
So,
yeah.
so to go back a little bit to, so you started talking about the wholesaling, like when you first
hmm
started doing the wholesaling, right? Um, how is that process? So you got your wholesale license, right? And that allows you to buy products at basically wholesale costs. And for anybody listening to this who doesn't understand what wholesale pricing is, so when a company and a manufacturer makes a product, right, they make it for a baseline cost, and then they sell it to the distributors, and then the prices just keep going up from there. And the more hands that are on it, the prices keep going up because everybody's got to get a profit share out of
hmm
that. When you got your wholesale license, you went directly to the manufacturer. How'd you do that?
So if we're talking about getting involved with the dog supplements, I was a distributor when I started off.
Okay, so distributor.
So yeah, I started off as a distributor so I can get the discount, so
Gotcha.
I could originally start, saving money on,
Yeah.
giving my dogs the supplements. But at the time, the first batch I bought, I'm like, there's no way my dog's gonna go through these supplements because they're gonna end up expiring. So I'm like,
Yeah.
let me put some online, see if I can sell them on eBay. And then that evolved to where we're at today.
Yeah. So you become a distributor,
hmm
and obviously check with the company. For anybody
Yep.
listening to this, check with the company because every company has their own policies and procedures on how you can sell their products and services.
hmm
So do your own research on that. But so essentially, you become the distributor. It's not like MLM, right? So anybody
hmm
listening, it's not MLM if you don't understand that multi-level marketing. You can go and you can sell the products for a small markup, and then you just collect the profits off of it, essentially, right?
Exactly. So during that process, we weren't officially branded as a company because we were following everything as a sole proprietor.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously there is no legal. Let me put this out this year.
hmm
There's no legal advice in this episode. None of this video. Go see your attorney. Be smart and go do the right thing. Right? We're just showing you like what has worked for Monty and everybody. For myself. But this is just another way of doing things. So you became a distributor for the product, right? And then eventually you decided, okay, you need to start making this stuff yourself because, or at least have a manufacturer to make this stuff yourself because there was obviously potential in that.
hmm
There was obviously some cash capital up front, and I think a lot of people go, even when I spoke to, I believe it was Rico who I was talking
hmm
to, there's significant dollar amounts that go into creating that first product, and I think it's called an MOQ, like a minimum order.
Yeah, MOQ.
Yeah, yeah. For supplements like this, or even for the products, right? Is it a significant amount of money that you need to come up with? Like, what do manufacturers usually look for when you want to start something like this?
Okay. Great question. So the first affiliate that I worked with the first time around had a MOQ of 500. So that's where my first initial investment came into, and that's how it remained until I no longer worked with them. And then going into the second affiliate that I worked with, which is X Dog, Muscle Bully, Earth Vet, MVP Supplement, and True Beast. They fluctuate throughout the years I've worked with them to where their MOQ was $2,000.
Mm,
Um, and then there's another affiliate that just recently went out of business that they would do different tier groups. So tier three would be if you spend $500, you're going to get at this specific price point. If you spend $1,500, you'll be a tier two, you'll get at this specific price point. And then tier one would be minimum order of, $2,500, which would get you at the cheapest price point.
gotcha. So all the fulfillment, all of that, like the sales, the processing, all of that, is that handled through you or is it handled through your manufacturers?
Okay, great question. So as I'm going through this process, I'm going through YouTube University to learn,
Yeah,
you
me
know,
too.
yeah, to learn, how all this works, from like filing taxes to, advertising to marketing to how to use GoDaddy, and then we shipped it over to Shopify. So, um, you know, everything's been self-taught. So as far as marketing, I do all the marketing. As far as like shipping, I do all the shipping. Inventory control, I do all the inventory control. So I have a supply background from, the Marine Corps. So all the basic tools that I learned in my first enlistment from the Marine Corps, I just shifted over. And it goes back to, things falling in your lap. It's just crazy how it just all bleeds in together.
Yeah.
And then I have a background with business with my bachelor's degree, and then I'm finishing my master's degree this upcoming December.
Oh, cool. Congrats.
Thank you. Now, as far as like operations, everything's been operated out of the comfort of my own home. So we have everything established, essentially at my house.
Yeah.
Whenever I was in Las Vegas, we did have like a small warehouse that we had everything held just because it was more realistic. And then whenever COVID took place, things just went, bonkers to where
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I need to keep everything with me. So we were able to buy a large enough property to where we have our own office and almost like a mini storage warehouse to
Nice.
where we can supply everything just to
Gotcha.
keep low overhead.
Nice. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because I mean, obviously when you scale up, obviously probably warehouses and all that stuff will come into play, and bigger distribution channels and all that stuff. And maybe you look into having your own affiliates or your own wholesalers that sell this stuff for you. Put these into to stores. Is that the ultimate goal with this? Like to put these into like places like PetSmart, Walmart, and stuff?
So that is the ultimate goal right now. We have 10 wholesalers for us that are affiliates.
Mm,
We're taking the idea, and again, it's just crazy how everything bleeds in. The first company that I worked with, where I was a distributor, I took that same business model and started doing the same thing for, mom and pop shops. So we have 10 stores across the United States. You can pull them up all on our website. If you don't want to specifically shop online and you want to go to a specific pet store, it'll tell you if there's any in your area. And then we have one overseas in Guatemala.
oh, nice. Cool. Awesome, man. Um, Now I guess to shift a little bit to, I guess the real estate side just for a second.
Yeah.
Is this a local, do you work just locally? Obviously we're kind of in the same area, actually, right in the Dallas area.
Mhm.
Is this something that you just do locally? Can you work throughout Texas? Can you work throughout the US?
So as of right now, I had an active real estate license for the state of Texas back in 2007. You have to take courses every 4 years in order to keep it active. I did not do that, so my real estate license deactivated. I'm currently in the process of going through a real estate course right now to take the state exam this year. So what I can do right now is just invest into rental properties. So I have rental properties out in Baytown, city of Houston, Spring, Texas, Brookshire, Texas, and then up here in Dallas.
Gotcha. Okay. And do you have a course or anything coming up eventually that you want to teach other people how to do this stuff?
So another a goal of mine is everything that I've learned with building a business for the e-commerce world, uh, networking with small businesses to essentially create like a wholesale market so they can make money as well. um, I'd like to put into a package and teach younger entrepreneurs probably like at a lot faster rate on the mistakes that I learned from, to where they can essentially expedite the process and get ahead of where they want to be in the long run at a lot faster pace than I have, because I've been doing this alone um, for almost 10 years now.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about the e-commerce world. That was something I never got into. My experience is almost all service based,
Mhm.
whether it's through coaching, consulting, marketing, stuff like that. So, I know there's a lot of people that wanted to get into the e-commerce space, and I've spoken to a few veterans and spouses of veterans as well that want to do it. They just aren't sure how to get started.
Mhm.
And so I think they're probably going through the same thing, getting that YouTube bachelor's degree, you know?
Yeah, so
Um,
I have four service members right now that I've been mentoring for the last 2 years. Rico is one of
okay.
them that you
Oh,
interviewed.
yeah.
Um, and it's really just me guiding them through how to start, how to get the process moving forward, and then really just building the courage to just execute.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of us that want to be entrepreneurs go into it with a fear. But if you're not willing to risk it and put it on the line, then you're never going to move forward.
Yeah, that's 100% true. I know the stats scare everybody, and I mean, rightfully so. What is it? What is the stats? Like 95% of businesses will never see their 10th anniversary.
Yep.
What is it? Like 50% will never see their first year.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's very intimidating. It's very scary because, if you think about it, you've worked so hard to either build up a savings account or, whatever it might be, ask friends to borrow money with
Hmm.
the 50% chance that you're not even going to see the 12-month mark.
Right.
And so that's very intimidating. But you've obviously been able to do that and go way past that. In fact, you've even passed the 10-year mark. So congratulations on that.
Well, thank you very much.
Um, yeah. And so, I've checked out quite a few of the products that you've got on your website. So you have supplements, you have the chains. Is there anything else that
Supplement
you guys?
shoes. We have dog streetwear, which is pretty popular for like the Frenchies and the poodles.
Yeah.
We partnered up with Bong, which is a toy company for dogs.
Yep. Hmm.
Um, so I mean, we've gone pretty far in, I would say, the last 9 to 10 years, especially with
Nice.
being as small as we are, um, and the amount of employees we have.
Gotcha. One more question before
Absolutely.
we kind of go into, directing people to where to go to find out more about this stuff. You hit on a good point right there that I think a lot of business owners, I don't think they think about when they're starting to build a business or they have one going, and it's the partnerships and the collaborations.
Hmm.
Because when you can partner or collaborate with other companies that serve the same customer as you, but that are not in direct competition, like that opens up doors, like so many doors.
Hmm.
How have you been able to do that? Do you do direct outreach? I know you did mention that somebody reached out to you, but like if you had a tip or two, like what's the biggest, I guess, needle mover when it comes to growing your business like that?
So when it comes down to dog supplements, I wouldn't say I really have too much of a competition with the dog supplements because I'm just distributing for other companies. So I'm not like a direct competition to other supplement companies, because we
Sure.
take any supplement company that's wanting to put their product on our shelves. Now, as far as like the dog collar industry, um, find your niche. I think is important, and find something that you're excited to do and you can intertwine with your lifestyle. Because if you can intertwine it with your lifestyle, that ties into grabbing content, marketing. It just all bleeds in together if you can make it part of your lifestyle. um, and then networking, I would say, is another key tools. Networking, being very humble whenever you're coming to other entrepreneurs that are in similar niches as you, or maybe not even in the same niche, because everybody has a story on how they got to where they're at. And I think the most equitable part of people's stories is not learning from their wins, but what was their worst losses, because I think those are
Mm,
the most key valued knowledge points of operating a business is I don't want to hear about your wins. I want to hear about your losses.
Yeah. Yeah, those are definitely some big life lessons. It's losses. That's it. Losses. Losses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as far as the outreach program, I've never reached out to anyone specifically. I've been very fortunate to where people have reached out to myself to do business with them. And like I was telling you when we started the podcast, a lot of people are typically interested on how I got into the entrepreneurship part of my life, just because of being active duty, and then in recruiting is so demanding. It's like, how did you have the time to do this on the side? And that
Yeah.
just ends up becoming a very lengthy conversation that I've always enjoyed talking about, just because there's a lot of time, pain, and sweat put behind it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. For anybody who thinks that, especially if you're working, even if you're not just in the service, but you're working a 9 to 5, you got a full-time gig, if you got kids, like starting a business is very, very difficult. It's a little bit easier if it's service-based and you can do it online, but yours is physical, and that is a whole nother ball game. And you've been able to do that, which is pretty phenomenal. And you've been able to do it successfully over the last, what you say, over 10 plus years. So that's something that I think a lot of people can look forward to, because again, that's not something, there's a lot of veterans out there that want to start businesses, that have successfully started businesses. But I've also talked to a lot of other veterans that have unfortunately wanted to start a business and haven't done it, or they did and they've had to close their doors for
Hmm.
one reason or another. And that's in many different industries, whether that's IT or a restaurant or a sandwich shop, whatever it might be, and that's unfortunate. So yeah, man. So let's go ahead and dive right into where can people find out more about your supplements and your chains, your dog
So
chains.
if you want to go directly to our website, it's HDK LUX LUX Products.com. You can find us on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, at HDK Lux Dog Chains. And if you want to reach out to me about any real estate questions, you can follow me on YouTube or either Instagram at America's Realtor.
Okay. Yeah, I'll put those. I'll have a text thing that goes across the bottom of the screen for anybody watching this. For anybody who's listening to this, I will put this in the show notes in the description, for anybody to go ahead and click on there and check out and follow you and go buy some products, because these are actually pretty cool looking. I've actually looked at those chains, man.
Yeah,
They're pretty badass.
I
So
appreciate that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're all
Any last
handmade.
words? What's that?
No, I said they're all handmade.
Yeah. No. Oh, well, nice.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that's perfect. That adds a little bit more to the quality,
Hmm.
to the quality of the product. So that's awesome. Any last words of wisdom, man?
Uh, you know, uh, for anybody that's listening, that's looking to start their own business, and you're finding yourself struggling, I got this from Andy Forsell. Things either happen for you or to you. You
Mm,
decide the outcome on that. You can either be the victim or look at the event as this is happening for me, and you can learn from it and then move forward, because you're going to have more losses than wins as an entrepreneur. And the best part about it is enjoying the losses and enjoying the process of getting to that winning point.
yeah, for sure. I'll add on to that
Absolutely.
and let people know that if you're in the service, if you're in a job, I know there's a whole thing out there online saying, just quit your job, get out of the service, whatever it is, burn the bridges, start your business, go 110% all in. I have a little bit of issue with that, because you're basically saying cut off your financial support
Hmm.
and go 110% all in on something that has a 50% chance of working in the next 12 months. My tip would be to kind of follow what you're doing, like get it going as you have that financial support coming in, as you have, the resources to sustain your current lifestyle, build up your business, build up what you're doing, like you've done, before you decide to go all in. Because are you doing full 20 plus? Are you going to do more than 20?
So I have about a year left,
Okay.
which is still undecided. But if I could add on to your point with that, uh, it's a phenomenal idea if you're going to start a business to stay in the service, because you're not going to end up making money in your first 3 to 5 years in business, because you should be investing your money that you're making so you can build capital so you can continue to invest in your company, and expand and scale. And if you don't have that resource to build capital because your main source of income is your business, you'll never explode that business the way you want it to.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Yep, definitely. Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you taking some time out today to chat with us, give a little bit of insight into the business world, the e-com world. For anybody who's listening, again, I'll put the actual links in there. Just go to, what is that, HDK LUX Products, and then the dog collars, right? Again, I'll put the info on there. But go and check them out. Really cool products. So, again, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Everybody, bye.